Big news for video games this week with not one, but two big gaming events. On Thursday, several announcements and premieres were made during the 3rd Annual Games Awards, starting with a trailer for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Eagle-eyed Zelda fans will doubtlessly spend the next week or so looking over every frame of the new trailer, but the biggest takeaway at first glance is our first look at NPCs, including this crazy-looking Birdman who has his own steampunk helicarrier. There's also some desolate ruins that make Link turn into a Super Saiyan, and a shot of what I can only assume is this game's incarnation of Princess Zelda. But if that is Zelda, then who is this? Unfortunately, those answers weren't revealed in the 4 minutes of new gameplay shown. We do get to see some interaction with another human bird person, and it turns out that lightning-shooting lizard men are in the game, but for the most part the new gameplay footage didn't show us anything we didn't already know. In fact, they didn't even use the awards to talk about the 30th anniversary Zelda amiibos, which released the next day. The new set of amiibos will have functionality with Breath of the Wild, summoning down items. 8-bit Link summons random barrels of goods, Ocarina of Time Link creates meat that I'm sure is perfectly safe for consumption, Wind Waker Link causes fish to fall from the sky, and Wind Waker Zelda brings in random plants. As for the Game Awards themselves, the show started by giving some overdue recognition to Hideo Kojima, who was prevented from attending last year during his high-profile split from Konami. Kojima brought with him new video for Death Stranding, nothing yet about what kind of game it might actually be, but the weirdness certainly is there. Like the first trailer, there's more black water and babies, but this trailer also has Mads Mikkelsen leading a squad of skeleton soldiers, so that's different. Telltale also reminded us that they still have a contract with Marvel Entertainment, teasing a Guardians of the Galaxy game. The teaser doesn't actually show anything, but at least we know they're working on it. Telltale also gave us an extended look at The Walking Dead: A New Frontier. Set 4 years into the outbreak, A New Frontier will effectively be Season 3, splitting the focus between series mainstay Clementine and newcomer Javier. For new titles, a game called Dauntless was premiered by the new studio Phoenix Labs. No telling what the game actually plays like, but it will be a free-to-play game that seems to have taken inspiration from Monster Hunter. It also has a pretty nifty art style, so that's something to keep an eye on. We did get some gameplay footage from a new video of Bethesda's Prey. The sci-fi horror shooter looks like it'll mix its shooting gameplay with a variety of neat tools and abilities, such as transforming into random objects or gunking things up with a goo gun. Meanwhile, Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment made its debut. The prequel game to Shovel Knight showed off its new abilities and gameplay in all of its retro glory. And finally, some gameplay footage from Mass Effect Andromeda, which will have you shooting and negotiating your way through the galaxy as you look for a new homeworld for humanity to ruin. But it wasn't just the Video Game Awards making news this week. Yesterday kicked off Sony's PlayStation Experience, and with it a host of other announcements, starting with one last cash-in for Naughty Dog's Uncharted franchise with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, a standalone game centering on Chloe Frazer. And while the Uncharted series wraps up, The Last of Us is apparently just getting started. Naughty Dog also made a surprise announcement with The Last of Us Part 2. So, Ellie, how do you feel about Naughty Dog setting you up for another great fun adventure?
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
Meanwhile, just to get all the Naughty Dog news out of the way, although the franchise isn't actually being developed by Naughty Dog anymore, we have Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. This game is a remastering of the first trilogy of Crash games with updated graphics for a new generation because, good God, Crash Bandicoot is 20 years old this year. How is that even possible? Also getting remastered for its 20th anniversary is another PSX classic, Parappa the Rapper, because the world really needed a rapping cartoon dog in 4K. Over at Capcom, another franchise is getting some new life. For the last couple weeks, there's been speculation about a Marvel vs. Capcom 4, but instead it looks like we're getting Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Universes will collide once again, but this time it looks like the franchise is going back to its roots. Instead of the 3v3 fighting system that we've come to know and love from the last two games, Infinite will be dropping back down to the 2v2 system just like it was in 1998's Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. But that's not all. It also seems that the Infinity Gems will make an appearance during gameplay, giving players various advantages and abilities. This mechanic harkens back to 1995's Marvel Superheroes game, which served as something of a prototype for the franchise. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite probably won't be out until late next year. In the meantime though, Street Fighter V has some new content coming as well. Along with a slew of holiday-themed costumes to wrap up 2016, Capcom has also announced their first DLC character for 2017, Akuma. It kinda looks like his face has been hit with one too many dragon punches, but here he is in all of his glory. And for JRPG fans, Ni no Kuni 2 Reverent Kingdom has a new trailer, looking like the best Studio Ghibli movie since, well, the last Ni no Kuni game. There's probably plenty more coming out of the PlayStation experience today, but obviously we won't be able to get that until next week. But if all this gaming news makes you want to get up and go outside, good news! Nintendo is teaming up with Universal Parks to create Nintendo-themed areas in Universal Studios Japan, Orlando, and Hollywood. The joint venture will give gamers a place to eat and shop in game-themed locations along with attractions that bring Nintendo's properties to life. Don't start packing your bags yet though. The project is underway, but the parks won't be ready to open for several years. In the meantime, the Detective Pikachu movie is underway. Legendary Entertainment announced this week that Rob Letterman has been set to direct the live-action Pokemon movie about a hard-boiled detective that is also an electric mouse. Letterman's directing credits include similar kid-friendly fare like Monsters vs. Aliens and Goosebumps, so this is right up his alley. And yes, all you Danny DeVito fans out there, this is the guy to send your petitions to. And hey, last second movie news! Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has a new teaser trailer, but I'm pretty sure it's just a trailer. It's not really a teaser. In either case, we get reintroduced to the cast with some funny bits and classic tunes, and finally get a look at Mantis, who I think will be a good addition to the crew.
See, you just told everyone your deepest, darkest secret.
Dude, come on. I think you're overreacting a little bit.
You must be so embarrassed.
For movies out this week though, get into the Christmas spirit with Office Christmas Party. It's kind of a generic name for a movie with such a star-studded cast, but whatever it's called, it looks pretty funny. I'm not saying it's gonna dethrone Christmas Vacation or anything, but it looks like it'd definitely be worth a watch. Or if you're looking for something a little more serious and aren't completely tired of politics, there's Miss Alone, a political thriller about a stone-cold lobbyist taking on the gun industry in Washington. You know, for the holidays. Meanwhile, over on Netflix, if you're looking to get your nostalgia fix in, Fuller House is coming back for its second season on December 9th. And hey look, more video games! This week we have Mr. Masagi, a dating sim where victory is measured by unlocking different vibrating patterns on your controller. Also, you can apparently seduce a jar of mayonnaise. This game makes the list this week because if I have to know this game exists, so do you. Representing RPG Maker this week, there's Ludo, which isn't actually an RPG, but a puzzle platformer created with the software, so that's pretty neat. It's also free, so why not give it a shot? Also in the retro style, we have Void Pyramid. Inspired by 80s RPG adventures, you'll have to escape a giant space prison and take on the Prime Pharaoh from oppressing mankind. On the cuter side of things, there's Drop Alive, a neat little platformer that puts you in the role of a drop of water that has to roll and float through household dangers towards... I'm not sure what the end goal is exactly. To get outside without being evaporated? Next up, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun. It's a cool looking stealth tactics game where you set up a team of ninjas and murder your way across the Edo period by setting up traps and stealth kills. Moving back to the retro style, Best Buds vs. Bad Guys is a 2D platform shooter developed by a dad and his 11-year-old son. It has pretty smooth graphics and a nice soundtrack for a family project, so it could be worth checking out. And if you like indie games, then maybe take a look at Indie Game Sim. I'm not sure if this is actually a game-making tool like Mario Maker, or if it's a sim game about being an indie dev, or maybe it's both. And finally, how about another RPG Maker entry? Coffin of Ashes puts you in the role of a girl who ends up in a creepy mansion filled with puzzles and I'm guessing a fair amount of murder. Wrapping things up with this week's CGBros video, we have Departure of Love by Jenna Jallet. It's a classic tale of romance done in the silent film style with an ending you might not expect. Finally, for this week's awesome video, we've got a philosophical breakdown on Darth Vader from Wisecrack. It might just make you look at the dark side in a new light.
perhaps Anakin Skywalker's descent to the dark side resonates so powerfully because it represents something we all face, an all-consuming fear of death.
I will even learn to stop people from dying.
Through Vader, Star Wars explores two different philosophical responses to death. By exploring these competing ideologies, we can better understand how this whiny little shit
I'm a person and my name is Anakin.
came to be the Dark Lord of the Sith.
And that's everything for this week, so what was your favorite video game announcement? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and have a great week.